I want to start with a question most agents never get asked in their first year. Not how many leads you have or what your prospecting schedule is, something more foundational than that. The question is, how do you think about what you're doing? Because here's what I see consistently, and I've coached enough new agents to say this with confidence. The agents who wash out in year one are almost never failing because they lack the skill. They're not failing because the market is hard or because they didn't have enough leads or because they chose the wrong brokerage. They're failing because of how they think about what they're doing every single day. They're thinking like employees inside a business owner's career. And until that changes, nothing else really changes. Today, I want to walk you through 4 specific identity shifts that separate agents who build sustainable careers from the ones who burn out and leave. These aren't motivational. I'm not going to stand here and tell you to believe in yourself. This is a diagnostic. And if any of these land for you, the fact that you're watching this early is a significant advantage. Let's go ahead and get into it. Here's the thing about the way most people come into real estate. For the majority of new agents, the previous 15 to 20 years were spent inside employment structures. You showed up at a defined time. You completed tasks that someone else defined for you. You got paid for doing that job inside a system that was already built. And if you were good at it, you got promoted. That model works. Most of the professional world runs on it. When you get your real estate license, you step out of that model. But most agents don't realize it. They bring all of their employment instincts into a fundamentally different kind of work, and then they wonder why it doesn't produce the results they expected. The first identity shift is the most important one, and it's this: from waiting to be given business to building a business. In employment, business comes to you. Customers are assigned. Leads are generated by a marketing department. Your job is to execute within a structure someone else built. In real estate, none of that exists. There is no pipeline waiting for you. And when you get your license, there's no territory being managed on your behalf. There is no company generating your next opportunity. You generate it or it doesn't happen. This sounds obvious when you say it out loud, but here's where the gap shows up in practice. I'll ask a new agent, what's your prospecting plan for this week? And they'll say something like, I was going to reach out to a few people from my sphere, or I need to talk to my broker about what to do next. Those answers tell me everything. They're waiting. They're looking for an assignment. The agents who really make this shift early, and I mean really make it, not just intellectually agree with it, look different. They have a prospecting standard, not a goal, a standard. A floor they don't go below, 10 contacts a day, 5 days a week. That's business requirement. It doesn't flex because they had a hard morning or because nothing is converting yet. It's what the business requires. It's what they do. Practically, the shift looks like building your own schedule before anyone asks you to, creating your prospecting targets without being assigned to them, holding yourself to activity metrics when no one is watching, treating Tuesday at 9 a.m. like a non-negotiable meeting that exists between your business need and not because a manager booked it. If you're in your first year and you're still waiting for direction, that's the pattern. And the good news is that recognizing it is the most important fix. The second shift is closely related, but it's worth separating out because the mechanism is very different. It's the shift from waiting for permission to moving with intention. New agents stall on decisions all the time, and they don't require anyone's approval. Should I reach out to that expired listing? Should I start farming this neighborhood? Should I call that person from my sphere who I know is thinking about selling? The answer to all of those is yes, but many agents wait for someone to confirm that before they act. This isn't laziness. It's a deeply trained instinct. In most employment environments, taking unilateral action without checking in carries risk. You might overstep. You might do something your manager would undo. The habit of seeking approval before acting is protective behavior that served you well for years. In real estate, it's a business killer. The agents who build momentum in their first year are the ones who move before they feel completely ready. They call the lead before they've rehearsed the script perfectly. They knock on the door before they've memorized every objection handler. They make decisions, who to prospect, which neighborhood to target, which lead source to invest in without waiting for someone to validate that choice. I want to give you a specific reframe here. In your first year, your job is not to be right, it's to move. A new agent who makes 10 wrong decisions while taking consistent actions learns more and builds more pipeline than a new agent who spends 6 months preparing to make the perfect first decision. Here's a practical test. Right now, think of one thing you've been meaning to do in your business that you haven't done yet. Not because you don't know how, but because you're not sure if it's the right move or you're waiting for the right moment. That thing, whatever it is, if it's not unethical or illegal, the right move is to do it today, not after you've thought about it for another week. Speed of implementation is one of the highest leverage advantages a new agent can develop. Most agents move slowly because they're waiting for certainty. Certainty almost never arrives on schedule. The ones who act without learn faster, build pipeline faster, and earn confidence faster than those who wait. The third shift is the one that separates agents who have one good year from agents who build an actual career. It's the shift from hoping for business to building a business. Here's what hoping for business looks like in practice: staying active on social media and expecting referrals to materialize, joining a well-known brokerage and assuming the brand will generate calls, buying a set of leads and treating them like a warm pipeline, doing a few open houses and expecting the contacts to convert without any kind of follow-up structure, showing up to closings and assuming happy clients will send referrals without being asked. None of those are wrong activity. The problem is the relationship to them. When you treat activity as a business, you get activity. When you treat your career like a business with a defined target, a repeatable system, and measurable outputs, you get results. Building a business looks different from hoping for one. It starts with a specific target, not I want to work with buyers and sellers in my area, something more defined, a geographic farm, a specific relocation demographic, a sphere of influence with a structured communication plan, something you can own and measure. It continues with a prospecting system, not prospecting when you feel like, but on a schedule against a standard with consistency that doesn't depend on how you feel that morning. It includes a follow-up structure, not a mental note. It includes tracking what's working, not just doing more of what feels familiar. At Link, the first thing we walk new agents through isn't a script library or a lead source. It's a difference between activity and strategy, because you can give an agent every tool and every resource in the world, and if they're still in hoping mode, still waiting for business to come to them, the tools won't matter. The question I want you to sit with is this: if someone watched everything you did in your business last week, would they say you were running a business or hoping one would start? That's not a judgment. It's the most useful diagnostic question I know of for a new agent. For Treasure Coast agents specifically, this matters a lot. A significant share of buyers and sellers in this market are coming from out of state. They're navigating an unfamiliar market remotely. They need an agent who runs their business like a business. Someone with a system, a response time, a follow-up cadence, a communication standard. An agent who is hoping for business looks different to those clients than an agent who is running one. Clients can sense the difference, even if they can't articulate it. The fourth shift is the most agents don't talk about because it requires admitting something uncomfortable. It's the shift from this is temporary to this is my business. A lot of new agents hold real estate at arm's length. They're in it, but not committed. They have a backup plan running quietly in the background. They're going to give it 1 year and see. They haven't told everyone they know what they do because they're not sure they're going to stick with it. They introduce themselves, I just got into real estate, instead of I'm a real estate professional. The posture is lethal, and it shows up in everything. It shows up in how confidently you talk about your business at a neighborhood event. It shows up in whether you invest in the tools and the systems that serious agents invest in. It shows up in how consistently you prospect. Because if part of you is still deciding whether you're really doing this, your subconscious has a convenient excuse for every day you don't make a call. It shows up most visibly to clients, buyers and sellers, especially on the Treasure Coast, where you're often dealing with significant relocation decisions. Need an agent who is planted, who shows up with confidence and committed, An agent who sounds like they might not be doing this in 18 months does not inspire the trust that earns referrals or competitive lists. The fourth shift is committing to identity before the results justify it. Not because the results are guaranteed, but because the commitment to the identity is what makes the results possible. This doesn't mean you ignore risk or pretend there are no challenges. It means when you're in front of a client, a prospect, or your sphere, you show up fully. You talk about your business like it's yours, because it is. You invest in it, you protect in it, and you behave like someone who is building something that matters. The results follow the commitment. That's the sequence, not the other way around. Here are the 5 things you can do this week to start making these shifts real, not conceptual. First, write down your activity standard for this week. Not a goal, a standard, the floor. If you don't have one, pick it now. 10 contacts per day, 5 days a week. Write it down, put it somewhere visible. Second, identify the one thing you've been stalling on and do it before the end of the week. Not after you feel ready. Now, name it specifically and move on. Third, audit the last 30 days of your activity. Look at where your time actually went. Separate motion from strategy. What generated actual pipeline? What was just keeping you busy? Fourth, fix how you introduce yourself. If you hedge or qualify when people ask you what you do, if you say, I just got into real estate or I'm trying this out, stop. Practice saying you're a real estate agent on a treasure coast with full commitment. Your conviction in that moment is the first things clients measure. Fifth, pick one target for your business this month. Not I want to do more deals, something specific, a zip code to farm, a sphere segment to call, a geographic area to send a targeted outreach campaign to. One target, work it with intention. The agents who make it past year 2 are almost always the ones who made these shifts early in year 1. Not because they were more talented, because they stopped waiting and started. Here's what I want to leave you with. The identity shift isn't a one-time event. It's something you have to keep making, especially when business is slow, when leads aren't converting, when the results feel misaligned with the effort. That's when the old employee instincts come back. The impulse to wait for direction, to hope something comes through, to stall on decisions until conditions. The agents who build durable careers recognize that impulse when it shows up, and they make the shift again. Not with a pep talk, with a decision to do the next thing their business requires. That's the whole job in year 1. Not mastering every script, not finding the perfect lead source, making the shift from thinking like an employee to running like a business owner, and then maintaining it every week, whether or not it's working yet. If you talk through where you are in your first year, what you're building, what's working, where the gaps are, I'm happy to have the conversation. There's a link in the description, a book of 30-minute growth strategy set. No pitch, no agenda, just an honest look at what would actually move your business forward. I also wrote a full version of this as a blog post, 4 shifts laid out in full detail with specific actions for each one. That's linked in the description. If this was useful, a like or subscription helps more people find it. And if you know an agent who's in this spot right now, working hard, but something isn't clicking, send it to them. I'll see you on the next one.